All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to the Rave New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Trait 41, which we'll talk about today, is all about entering into the new year. It is the start codon. It is the start of a new adventure and a new year. So welcome, everyone. Today is January 23rd. 2024. This is episode 03 of 2024. And today we're going to be taking a look at the dreamer and encouraging you all to dream big, the dreamer that influences others. So that's what we are going to dive into and talk about today. So before we jump in and get started, let's say hello to our panel. Let's start with Shelly. Hey, Shelly, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks, Karen, for inviting me. And I do have this strength, lived with it for my entire life. Love it, and looking forward to sharing.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for being here, Shelly, and can't wait to hear about your strength of imagination with Trait 41 and how that shows up for you. And let's go to Banu. Hello, Banu. Welcome.
Hello. Oh, great here. Hi, everyone. Happy Rave New Year to all. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to this discussion. I don't have the 41, but I have the other end.
Aha.
So,
yes.
Yeah. I'm looking for the 41 all the time without knowing it, maybe.
You and me both. Yeah, I also have the 30, but I don't have the 41. So if you do have, for example, trait 30, but you don't have trait 41, it's connecting up and it's helping you dream and activating your imagination. So we'll talk about what that looks like as well. Thank you so much, Banu. And let's go to Boris. Hey, Boris, welcome.
Hello, Karen, and thanks for having me again on the BG5 Live. And yeah, happy Rave New Year to everybody as well. And I don't have 41, I don't have 30, and I think I still can dream. I wonder how it looks like, what she would explain us how it really feels like to dream properly, so to say. Curious.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here, Boris. And Natalie is on her way back from Romania, where Bulgaria, where she just did the Rave Fest. So she won't be able to join us. And it looks like Krista's not going to be able to join us today as well. But we encourage each of you that are here live. It is such a pleasure to have you here live. For those of you who are here live, we would love to hear from you. So if you have trait 41, if you have trait 30, if you have the entire strength like Shelly, we would love to hear from you. Or if you have someone in your life and you have a great example of how trait 41 shows up in your world or how you've experienced, we would love to hear that as well. So once again, yay! Happy New Year. So the year is now officially started. And just really briefly, I wanted to take a look at what this new year looks like. And this year is all about shocking us into perfected form. I also like to take a look at the Chinese New Year as well for what's in store. And the Chinese New Year, which is going to be coming up here soon, is going to be the sign of the wood dragon, which fosters growth, progress, and abundance. So it's related to success, intelligence, and honor. And wood dragons are full of energy and the dream of changing the world. And I wanted to add this too, because we're talking about the dreamer. And many of us are here because we can see a brighter future. We have a dream, if you will, of changing the world. And so this is really, in a sense, the tipping point moving into 2024 of shocking us into perfected form. Now, oftentimes when we hear shock, we think that it's something negative. Now, it can be, but it can also be good shocks as well. So expect the unexpected. It could be good shocks that really tap us into who we truly are. The 10 is in our values, which creates this strength of perfected form, this perfected behavior. And it is a year of loving, trusting, accepting ourselves, and trusting ourselves and our intuitive clarity within the environment to move us forward successfully into the future. So we have the dreamer and influence. We have the 41 and the 31, which always starts off the year. We start off with the year that the dreamer that influences others. Inspiration, the dreamer. We can dream big, and oftentimes we cut down our dreams because we think, oh, that could never happen. Now, if you have these expectations that they will happen, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. It's not up to us, it's up to the fates. But the bigger we dream, the bigger our energy is in that dream, the more likely we are to also attract that. But we can't be attached to it, right? No expectations. Now, this is also about caution. The 12 in caution, this is caution also in social interactions. This is very mutative, the 12, and this is the driving force, is also about mutating and changing the collective. In our background, in our environment, the past and future direction is about initiative and being initiated. We're all being initiated into this new era. And the 57 is about intuitive clarity. Again, it's part of this intuitive clarity that creates this strength of this perfected form. We have the 38 of the fighter. The fighter shows up both in our communication, and it also shows up in our maturing energy as well. So it is fighting for what we believe in. We're fighting for our purpose. We're fighting and rising up. We're shifting from top-down structures to bottom-up structures, meaning that we all have a place of individual power and we can all rise up. So we have the fighter. Again, we have the behavior of self in our values. What we value is loving, trusting, accepting ourselves and our own uniqueness. We have the 38, again, of the fighter in the maturing energy. So not only is it our communication, it's also how we're maturing. We're maturing in how to fight for our purpose, fight for our uniqueness, fight for our individuality. And we also have nourishment. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others. And spirit. I highlighted this because this is the abundance of spirit. Now, it isn't judge and discipline. So in a sense, if we are not aligned with our own sense of self, when we're not aligned to the abundance of self, that's where we can end up being punished. This 55 and quality 6 is part of the era of the individual. This is, in many respects, the core essence, the key to what this new era of the individual is all about. And it's all about spirit. And it's bringing, in a sense, the spirit into the material world. It is, in a sense, really owning who we are as both this material form, but also as a spiritual being. And the more we're aligned to that, the less we, quote unquote, get judged or punished. We also have assimilation. We're assimilating in everything that is changing and shifting. We're still in crisis. This crisis is going to lead us to be able to move forward to progress. And we also have acceptance. And the more that we accept our limitations, this is also part of the theme for today as well, the more we accept our limitations, the more we can transcend those limitations as well. So I just wanted to give you a quick preview of what the year is all about. We're putting together a bunch of things at BG5 Solutions as well to really walk you through the year and to give you insight. So I invite you to join us at bg5solutions.com as well if you want to get more insight into what the new year is all about and what these energies are all about as well. So let's take a look again at what we're going to be exploring today, which is trait 41. Trait 41, if you don't have your chart, make sure you have your chart in front of you. Take a look. If you have trait 41, it's down here in drive and stamina. So it is, in a sense, at the very bottom of our chart, what really grounds new beginnings and is the pressure for new beginnings. It is also part of the strength of imagination. And Shelley has the strength of imagination, so look forward to hearing what Shelley has to say about this particular strength and having trait 41. So with all of that, if you found that on your chart, let's take a look at today's theme of trait 41 of the dreamer that influences others. Now, if we take a look at the life fork themes, and one of the things I love about the life fork theme, especially in entering into the new year, it's about the unexpected. So expect the unexpected. When we start a new year, we have no idea what is going to happen. We can see that it is also about fantasy, and it's also about the alpha, right? Because the 31 is of influence. The 31 ultimately is the elected leader, which grounds the 41. And so it has a lot to do with leadership, in starting a new business, in starting a new idea, in starting a new project, in starting something new. This is where it starts, is in the 41. You have to dream it first. You have to fantasize about it first before it can become a reality. So this week, you may experience trait 41, the dreamer. This is also contraction and decrease, which sounds a little bit weird when you're talking about the dreamer. But the dreamer is being able to see everything that's possible, the big picture. Yet, when the fates take hold, it's only one of those possibilities that the fates take hold of. And that's why it's also decreased, because you can have all of everything that's possible, but we can't experience everything at once. We can only experience one thing at a time. So that's what the decrease is. And so this is what I was talking about. There's also a theme of limitation here. The limitation of resources which maximizes development of potential, right? It's like, what is it? Scarcity is the mother of invention, right? If we don't have something, we become more creative of how can we? And being able to fantasize and think about it and dream about it is the first step in creating something new. And it's grounded by trait 31 of influence. This is the law of friction, whether active or passive, that engenders transference and thus influence. So this, when we take a look at both trait 41 and 31, they're both in collective circuitry. Now, the 41 is the experiential circuitry. The 31 is in the logical circuitry. But yet we have, in a sense, in order to move things forward into the future, which is the leadership, part of the leadership of trait 31 that we find in a small group dynamic. Also, it can show up in a large group. It's one of the leadership traits. In order to lead people into the future, you have to imagine, and you have to be able to see the future, right? So we can see how these two go hand in hand. Now let's take a look at the dreamer, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. And again, any one of you that is here, we would also love to hear from you as well. Trait 41 is the dreamer. And how does the dreamer show up in business? Again, it's the limitation of resources which maximizes development of potential. So it's the dreamer that influences others, right? When you take a look at a leader influences others. And they often influence others with what is possible moving forward into the future. So when we take a look at trait 41, this is the pressure to start a new experience. And it's the start codon. It's in our DNA. It's like the capitalization at the beginning of the sentence. It's the start codon for a new cycle to begin. So we just stepped into this new cycle. And so this can be, stepping into a new cycle in a business as well, whether it be a new business, a new product, a new service. And it's fantasizing and recognizing that one's feelings of value begin the next cycle, right? So it's what is possible, and it's also what is going to really bring value as we step into what's new. And this is also the hunger for new life adventures, fueled by the desire to interact with others through experiences and feelings. This is collective. This is the collective experience. And so it's not just by ourselves, it's bringing people along and influencing people with what is possible. And again, this is also about sharing new experiences. And this is the time, especially this week, is to dream big. Can everything be possible? No, right? There's decrease. There's only one thing that we truly experience. But if you dream big, if you don't dream big, you're never going to be able to move beyond. But when you dream big and when you really resonate at that energy of what that big dream is, expect the unexpected. Anything can be possible. So you also need to let go of expectations, however. You can't be attached to it. This is the wave that builds up in desire and then can crash in disappointment. So let go of expectations and just allow your imagination to play, to explore, and to fantasize. And again, we can see how this ability to dream, to fantasize, to see into the future is also what has an influence over others. So it plays a big role within business as well. So to kick things off, I would love to hear from Shelley. Shelley not only has the 41, she also has the strength of imagination. So I would love, Shelley, for you to share with us what having trait 41 and having the strength of imagination, how that shows up for you.
Thanks, Karen. This is one of those great strengths that I was so happy to learn about when I did the BG5 training, because it explained a lot of my childhood. I was a daydreamer for sure, and I would spend a lot of time right up into my adult years, into my 40s probably, where I would have, because it's connected to the emotional intelligence, there's so much emotion behind it. For me, there has been. I could easily imagine all the different kinds of possibilities, and love to read fantasy type stories and books, and spent a lot of time just imagining what would be possible, looking around at the world and imagining what could be better from what I would see happening. And as a young person, I really didn't understand why, if I could imagine it, why wasn't it happening already? And how come people weren't changing things already? And so I did suffer a lot of those crashes of disappointment, having such really high expectations for things, and then literally feeling like the bottom had just fallen out of life. So it's quite an intense emotional ride. And I'm watching my grandson go through it right now too. He's 10 and he has this strength. And oh, it's so painful to watch him get his expectations up and to have them crash. But I kind of explain to him as best I can. I think it's something you just have to experience until you've done it enough times in your life that you start to get it. And I've talked to other people and clients that have this strength too, and they all say, "Oh yeah, well, I learned that one." So that by midlife or so, you're realizing that, okay, all those things I'm fantasizing are just that. They're just a fun way to dream about what could be. And you get to a point where you realize you don't get too attached to it, because it often disappoints. So it's a transition I went through, recognizing then, because then I realized I was free to just imagine and fantasize and have fun with it and play with it and let it go, and use it in goal setting or in dreaming about what's possible. I use this a lot in my last job, where I was working in IT and building new systems, because I've always been looking for what are the new systems and new tools we can use. And often people couldn't see the connection between what we were trying to do and the new tools. So I could imagine it, I could see it, and then I had to try to bring it, make it more real for people. So it, and I really love this strength, because my mind takes off with all the possibilities, and I can actually see things in 3D space and turn things around and look inside and upside down at them and imagine them in from many different perspectives. And I've done a lot of problem solving that way, where I can use my imagination to not only find potential solutions, but look to see where the problems might pop up and bite us. And I did get caught up in that a lot in my head. And not since I've learned about BG5, I've learned how to use those things together with my mind, and not have my mind go so far out of this realm that I need somebody to ground me again. So that's been the big learning, is learning how and when to use the imagination. And it's great to have a vision and an imagination, but somehow you got to bring it back into reality as well. And that's the part where working with others really helps bring that vision or that imagining into, okay, what can we really do? What can we do inspired by that imagining? What can we actually do in reality? So yeah, it's been great to learn and understand and recognize how that strength is really serves me and others.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelley. And again, they're recognizing, like you said, that build of expectation and that crash of disappointment. This is part of the emotional wave that's here, that especially if you have this is also part of your decision-making strategy as well, is making sure that you're not making decisions on the high highs of these expectations or the crash and disappointment either, because those are not the best place to make decisions. So riding the wave, and this is why you need time to really see and play things out before making a decision as well. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sorry, that's it's exactly bang on for sure.
Yeah.
The emotional, yes, I don't often get this huge emotional, and again, like I said, I've learned how to work with it better, so I don't have quite a huge build and crash anymore. But I noticed the 55 is also activated right now, and it's connecting 39 for me, provoking me to my spirit. So I'm feeling a little bit more emotional today than I typically am.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being here, Shelley. And thank you for what you shared here. I think it's good to hear again from real life experience how
Yeah.
this strength shows up and how it works. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Beautiful. And Banu, I would love to hear from you as well. You don't have the 41, but you do have the 30 on the other side. And so that is creating the strength for you this week. I'm wondering your experience with the 41 and how it shows up for you.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. So a couple of things, and I'm just noticing that I come in to participate in the BG5 Live. So we are in the middle of like making a life change. We moved to a new country and we are trying to establish our business as well, working in this. And I just noticed that today we signed the paper with the lawyer and tax advisory, so he would set up the company. So I'm like, oh, we just signed, and it was today. So that's a new beginning of a new cycle, and we just did it today. It just happened to be, although the meeting was before. So that gives me courage that it's the right timing for us, probably. So that's one thing I want to share. And then the other thing I wanted to share is my husband, who's also my partner in the new business as well that we're establishing, he has the 4130. And I'll share a little bit about a funny episode that happened with this lawyer tax advisory. So last week, we went in for the meeting. We're going to get, advice because it's a new country and we're setting up a company. We don't know the rules. We don't want to make mistakes. So we went in to get advice to set up this one company called our consulting company. We sit in the meeting and he starts discussing with the lawyer about, we're thinking about establishing 3 businesses. So this is number 1, and one of them can be in another country. So the lawyer starts like drawing things about like a holding company that can up 3 other companies doing different things. So he's like, and he also has the 2, like Shelley and the vision. So I'm like, okay, we're speaking to the lawyer about these now. He did. So, and the lawyer drew the pictures of the companies of his dream and, of our dreams. He didn't make them up. We're thinking about them, but I wouldn't go and speak to the lawyer as yet. We wanted to do just one thing. So, and then today we signed just for the one company. It comes in the limitation of, the reality. You can't establish 3 companies at once and have them running like that. So I'm really living through it, as you can see. Things, clicking into place, the limitation, the dreams coming through as well. And speaking about my own experience about having the 30 and not the 41, I think I can speak more around, surrendering to the fates is something I really had to learn. because we're all thought we can go out and make things happen, which I was too. So you never surrender to the face, right? How could you do that? You go out and do things. So that was my belief, and this is my something I really had to learn in life. That's how it's supposed to be for me. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
So those
I
are some
love the
real life
example.
experiences I'm going through.
I love that. It is so perfect. It's so perfect with what we just talked about. Again, it's like all of these businesses, everything, but it's only one that ultimately gets created, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the decrease, right? It's like
Exactly.
dreaming big, seeing everything that you can put together, but you can't do it all at once, right? It's just impossible to do it all at once. Like you said, you can't set up and run all of these businesses all at once. So you start with one. And again, that's seeing the big picture and then starting. But again, it's often narrowed down. So I think it's just a beautiful, perfect
You
example.
start small, then you can go big. Before we started, Boris was mentioning some names around some people who have this in the business life and they've done great. So maybe I'll leave it to Boris if he wants to comment, and then we can talk more around it. Dreams actually coming through, which can happen. Yes, if you have the right team, you form, you get the right resources and all that. Dreams can come true. So yeah.
Exactly. Beautiful. Well, congratulations, Manu. That's awesome. And what a great example as well. Yeah, and let's go to Boris. And I know Boris and Chris, neither of you have trait 41, but again, it's also something you can be really wise about. So I would love to start with Boris and find out your experience of how you experience trait 41.
It's actually funny because something I realized, and that is like learning human design and then BG5, this openness of center, this openness. I don't have trait 41 or trait 30. I have an open drive and stamina. I have an open emotional intelligence. And this perception, this like being conditioned, feeling the energy from a dreamer, like what Shelley just explained, it's just like, wow. And that is the funny thing when then this wow effect comes and like I'm hooked up. This is where my generator or builder energy suddenly kicks in and I'm on fire. I'm in. I want to move. I move upward, forward. And this is the example I want to give is actually Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had 4130. I mean, iPhone and things like that. He was dreaming of it early, early, early. And he was dreaming big and he was doing the small steps. And last year I watched a video of him when he was doing a speech at the graduation party of a university. And he talked his pure design. He talked being a builder. He talked, I did the things step by step. Classic builder doing things step by step. I was dreaming big. I started small. I had kickbacks. I never let my dream go. And all of this is step by step towards the dream, feeling the energy, do what I love, or love what I do. This was the exact words he mentioned in this video. And that is when it brought me back and saying, this is it. This is like BG5. This is the map of a person. If the person follows the energy and what is inside, what can be done. And that is why it's so powerful. And this is, I think, what we are trying to do as well with BG5 solutions, to offer that type of knowledge to people. Imagine a world where suddenly we all become like a Steve Jobs. We do what we love. We are ready to chip in our imagination like a Shelley into something. And we exploit that strength.
Yeah.
It's much more fun for the people working. It's much more thriving for a business or a team. It's just like, and it's there. And this is something I realized in listening to Banu, her perceptions, and then yeah, and Shelley, her experience with it. This is it, and it's all there. And that is for me the beauty of BG5 or human design. This is the map of each individual. Bring out what an individual is, and it's just awesome. And just listening to it and then seeing real world examples. Awesome. It's there. I looked as well at why the German football team won the 2014 World Cup.
Mm.
It's like defense, midfield, offense. If you split it up in three pentas plus the goalie, it's three pentas and the coach makes up a OC16.
Mm.
And it was a perfect penta organization, a perfect OC16 organization. Now,
Wow.
is this something that is the absolute only fact why this team won the World Championship? I don't think so, but it's a contributing factor. So it can be seen, it can be visualized. And I think this is listening to all the live talks we had, all the traits, learning more and more. This is what I see. It's just bring people together with their strengths. And it's the sky is the limit, I think. That's for me. I get very emotional most likely. That's at the moment the vibes as well. And it's starting something new. It's all us together starting something new. BG5 solution is starting something new. It's dream big, step by step,
I love that.
by design. I
Dream
love it.
big,
It's
step
just,
by step, by design. I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Boris. Beautiful. And Chris, I would love to hear from you as well. Again, just like Boris, you do not have it defined. You also have emotional intelligence undefined. I'm curious on your wisdom of how this trait 41 operates.
Well, it's interesting that, I have a lot of my design on the instinctual side of the body graph, but I attract clients, a lot of clients with the emotional side. So
Mm.
one of the things that I've noticed is I had a client, and he came to me wanting a full career analysis. So we went through it, and he had this strength of imagination, and he was so restless. I think that's such a really key
Mm.
aspect of the 41. There is this restlessness. And he had these grand dreams for himself, but he kept kind of beating himself up because he could never realize these dreams. So one of the things we looked at is that, the 41 is in drive and stamina. So there's a lot of pressure to get something done. And it's also in the purpose fulfilled through transformation. So it really wants to bring something new into existence. And and then it's balanced by the 31, which is, communication and action. He wants to do something with it, and he wants it, and this is also purpose fulfilled through form. So he wants to turn it into something tangible. And so when we were kind of working together, one of the things I shared with him is that, this particular strength, just like you mentioned earlier, Karen, is that, we're working with limited resources. And so how can you take those limited resources that you do have in your strength of imagination and employ those? And I think that Shelley really spoke to this in her example. I thought that was really brilliant. And what we came to in his session is that those gifts are for other people, but it doesn't mean that he can't have those reflected back to him. And so we started to unpack it, and I kind of asked him, where could you start? Like, what limited resources do you already have that can start you on the path to your dream? And what he saw was that he wanted to be a musician and he wanted to travel, and he had a camper and he had his guitar. So there was already forward movement once he was able to identify that. And what I want to say with this is that, those strengths that are often gifts for other people, he was really good at being on the road, meeting people, brainstorming for them, inspiring them with his storytelling through his music. So I wanted to kind of put that piece in there that imagination can be communicated because it wants to be communicated to other people. And there is this tension, between the dreaming and then the reality, the wanting to get started with something new, and then fate taking over. So that tension and that strength is very emotionally potent, as everyone's already mentioned. And I just, one of the things that he talked about, and this is the last thing I'll share, was that for him, when he was sitting alone with his guitar writing music, or reading a book or watching a movie, like, and inspiring his own imagination, that's when everything started to click for him. So I hope that some of this kind of lands for anybody who has the 41 or the 4130. And, it is a deeply experiential strength. So, it has to be utilized in order for it to really come to life. So that's what I would like to share.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. What a beautiful example. And again, tying in all of those aspects that we've talked about with, with the limitation, and then, how can you take just that first step, right? We can't do, a big dream starts with the first step. And that's also, in a sense, what this illustrates is that, yes, we can dream of everything, but in dreaming with everything, it's so big that what's just that one next step that we can take, just like what Boris was saying too, that can help us take that first step into our dreams.
Beautiful. I'll just add one last piece, which is, I think that this strength and then having this trait, you're really good at helping other people discover their dreams. And
Mm.
I could just, the role of a dream coach or the role of pulling somebody into their ideal dream future. This is what I see with this particular strength, whether it's for IT or it's for coaching or it's for, business creation. That's kind of what I notice with this role in business.
Yeah, beautiful. Brilliant. Yes, Boris.
It's just awesome. I need to respond now, being a builder, to what Chris just mentioned. I think this restlessness to make new experiences and to move it into a successful road. And that brings me to a quote that I just read last week from Earl Nightingale of what success is. And I was looking as well for a definition of success, and one from Earl Nightingale really resonated with me. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that
Mm.
ties for me perfectly into this dreaming and imagination. It's not that I can't dream big. Possibly that the big dream might be taking a longer time to realize. But if I start doing the steps towards it, every day is a successful day. I think this is for me so resonating with my classic builder step-by-step design. Every step towards my dream is a success. And that
Mm.
is possibly something I want to bring as well into this world. Yes, that move in your direction that is right for you, and don't let others decide on what direction you should take. And that is for me this quote from Earl Nightingale that just is I embodied it now. It's mine.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Boris. Yeah, Shelley. And then, of course, anyone else who's live here in our Zoom room, please raise your hand. We would love to hear from you. Either if you have trait 41, if you have trait 30, if you have the strength, or if you can share a story of your experience with trait 41, we would love to hear from you. So again, if you're live here in our Zoom room, be sure to raise your hand because we'd love to hear from you as well. So yes, Shelley.
Yeah, just responding to both Chris and Boris and Banu, more things come to mind. The one thing Chris mentioned too was about listening to music or watching movies or reading books. I was so glad to find out that that's actually a great way to relieve that feeling of pressure, that stress. Because I've loved doing that my entire life. I've been an avid reader. I love watching movies. I love getting absorbed in a show. And of course, you tend to feel like you're being lazy or, dropping out or something. And what you said, Chris, is so absolutely true. It is the thing that inspires me. When I read multiple books and watch multiple shows at the same time, I start seeing patterns amongst them all, and they inspire me with a whole new vision. And I end up going off on a whole nother imagining of how something else could be. And I love it. It's like candy for my brain and my soul as well. And Boris, what you mentioned about taking that first step, doing step by step, that's one of the challenges that I can have, having both this and the two. I can get caught up in my head, and like your husband, Banu, I start imagining it's almost like I can't move forward until I see the biggest picture first. I need to know what the big dream is we're heading for, and then pull it back to And it takes me a long time to pull it back to get to what is that first step we can take. That part can be very confusing. So that's where it's really helpful to have other people with other strengths in their design to help me get back grounded into what's the reality of how we actually do this. What's the first thing we need to do? And as soon as you said that for us, I felt a great grounding in me that went, yes, we just need the first step. Just start that first step thing. And that just, brings everything back into reality. So I love to be able to do both. And it's a very creative, that's probably the thing I love most about my design is that creativity, to be able to enjoy that process too, and work with others to make the dream come true.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah, beautiful, Shelley. Beautiful. Well, I don't see any hands raised. So again, if you do have and even how it's impacting you right now and stepping into a new year. I know I have the 30, but I don't have the 41, but I can feel the energy of this dreamer. It's really plugging me into like being able to dream big and being able to see things beyond. And then when you tap into that and when you share that, right, it can have that impact and influence for others. This was what Chris was talking about, and others were talking about how, again, sometimes it's not for you. Sometimes the dreams are to open up what's possible to inspire others to start dreaming or to start others moving on that first step forward. Yeah, Chris.
I like that what you just shared because I don't have the dreamer in the 41. I don't often think about what would that be like, or how could this play out, or what might be a possible here. So it's really, I think what I'm really aware of today is just the gift that the 41 brings to me because I don't have this in my design. I'm ready to jump and respond to somebody else's plan or vision and then make it happen because there's that instinctual side of myself. And then, you know, I had that opportunity today earlier, looking at the 41, and I'm just going to share a little bit from that. What came up for me, having Karen facilitate such a really beautiful session of looking at the 41 today in a different avenue, was that I realized how much this year the dream for me is to be my own client instead of giving away my power to other people. And it wouldn't have been even brought to my awareness if I didn't have the space to process my own dreams. And I don't give myself enough time or space to do that. So as a practitioner, it's really important that we use the information in our design and even the information that's available to us in the transits, like the 41 today, to really dig deep and to unpack what's really possible in our design or probable. So I just wanted to share that, even if you don't have this trait, you can still use this energy today and this week because it's available to all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant, Chris. And again, that is the brilliance of this also is that in understanding, what the trait is of the day, again, it can control us or we can take advantage of it. And the more that we are aware, the more that we're alert to what's happening around us, and we know that this is the energy that's present, why not take advantage of it? Why not realize what's there? Or it may feel like it's compromising you in one way or another, or you're experiencing it in a different way. But knowing that it's there is half of the struggle, if you will, because then you can bring more awareness to that. And so if you don't have the 41, one of the things that I would love to hear as well, and Chris just typed this in the chat also, brilliant, Chris, is what dreams do you have for this new year? So I would love to hear from any of you that are here live in our Zoom room. What can you imagine? What dreams do you have for this new year? I would love to hear if you're open to sharing that as well. Is it a 2-day? I may have to call out individual people. Hey, Jane. Oh, great to see you.
Not really to answer Chris's question, but I have noticed that this week, definitely the energy of getting things started. I've been trying to do a new business and working with things on online and different things. And finally this week, things have gotten cleared out. And I feel like there's actually this energy of it moving forward on it. So it's been nice to hear that. It kind of is covered
Yes.
because in early January, I really was like, this is not moving, this is not moving. But there has definitely been an opening of energy this last couple of days on it.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jane. Kind of like what Banu was sharing too. They just started a new business. And so you may feel exactly what Jane just said, because I've experienced this too at the beginning of January. Like nothing's happening. It feels like there's so much pressure that you want to get started. It's a new year and it's almost the end of January now. I should have things rocking and rolling and moving forward. But the energy wasn't there until now. And so I think it's really brilliant, Jane. So congratulations in moving stuff forward and sending you tons of success and satisfaction and prosperity in creating your new business.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. How about for you, Danielle?
Hi, Karen. Hi, everybody.
Yay.
I don't have it, the strength, but I've been thinking about it. I knew the new year was coming up. This trait was coming up, and I've been pacing myself with dreaming big and getting into action. And still, it's nothing coming. So I was like, okay, this is not today, then maybe tomorrow. It's a whole week, so I don't have to rush it. But I've been telling other people about it. So I've been trying to inspire people about the background frequency, and also talking about that, you get questions back. So that's how the dream and me being able to dream, because the frequency is now there for me, set some things in motion. So that's also how you can use it, as not having the trait and the strength, but just sharing your knowledge with somebody else, and they challenge you to sit down, what Chris said, and contemplating on what's happening and taking the time. So that's what's happening with me right now. And I love listening to all the information, because it gives another perspective on things. So thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah. And beautifully shared, Danielle, as well, because this is a trait of sharing. And this is what, in sharing the experience, we're not designed to be an island. We are designed to share and connect and work with each other. That's what BG5 and OC16 is all about, is how we connect and how we work with each other. And what you share, Danielle, is so perfect. Again, if you don't have trait 41, share your experiences, because that's part of what starts something new, that inspires us in a different way that we may have never ever thought about, just simply just like this entire panel and what you just shared, Danielle, is being able to start something new based on what we've shared with each other that inspires us to move forward and to create something new.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Yay. Thank you.
You're
yes,
welcome.
Chris, and then Boris.
I'm just so inspired by Danielle sharing that I just realized that it's important to also, look at what do we need to overcome in order to be inspired by our dreams? What own limitations do we put on ourselves to step into our dreams and even thinking that our dreams are possible? And what occurred to me is that I need to be more vulnerable publicly with people to really inspire them and to really bring forward their dreams, to let them know it is possible, and to be that role model to show it's okay to be vulnerable with our dreams. They may never come to fruition. Maybe they will. Maybe part of it will. It might inspire somebody else. And really, I love that. This is really an inspiring quality. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Chris. And yes, Boris.
It's just, I want to come back to what Jane mentioned before, is nothing is really moving, this waiting, this like, it's New Year and nothing is happening and da 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 da. it's something when I started to use human design for myself, and I heard first time about Rave New Year, and actually that it's like 3 weeks kind of after the official New Year, suddenly made so much more sense. It was the time for me always December and January, up to the mid of January, to think about what happened in the last year, what was like the learnings from the last year, and how to move forward. I think what better trade it could be than a 41, the dreamer, like to start a new year. It's like dream big, do something that you really enjoy, visionary, that moves you forward, that sets your compass needle to north and make you move along that way. It's just, for me, it's so, it makes so sense now. It's just like, yeah, it's the starting point. It's the starting point of this year, and that year started yesterday. And it's funny to listen to all of this dreaming and imagination. I don't kind of have it. It's just like I get inspired by people that have it. I get really dragged along and pulled along. Yet, then for me, it's the doing, and that's possibly where Shelley is like the inspiring, like giving ideas, and like I'm the one with the with the rope, like pulling her back. Wait a second, let's start here. Let's build that gradually. And I think this is the beauty of it. This is like, yeah, it's possibly I can't dream big, and it's okay. I don't have to dream big. I do my step-by-step approach, and I help and support where I think my energy goes right. And that is me. And that is ultimately so fun to realize that I don't have to be equal to Shelley or to Chris or to Banu or to you, Karen. I can be Boris. And I'm good as I am, with all my strengths, with all my shadows, with all my, incarnation cross, whatever is in the design. I can be that. And I can accept the others as being them. And then we start building teams. And then we start working together, leaving the individual chipping in the strengths. And that is for me so obvious today, especially with this trade and then what Shelley explained, that yes, I need somebody to dream big. I chip in my energy. Let's move. I'm in, kind of. And that is, and that is right now starting.
Wow.
And that is what I felt is on the background. Like the last 3-4 weeks, it was preparing and like, where is it going? Now it's clear. The dream and the vision is there.
I love that,
Yeah.
Boris. You know, and it really speaks to, again, what BG5, what OC16 is all about, is the dreamer that influences others. Exactly what we were talking about today, that if you don't have it, right, connect with others, be inspired by others. You do you, let them be them. And when we all have our own individual role, and we respect ourselves and our own unique design, we respect others and their own unique design, the way that we can work together is completely different, because I don't feel like I don't need to compete. I just do me. You know, Boris doesn't need to compete. He just does him. You know, Banu and Natalie and Shelley and Chris, we just all do ourselves. And together we have what the other doesn't have. And that's what makes us great, right? That's what makes us great in working together. That's what creates teams. And that's what creates amazing organizations and businesses. And that's ultimately what BG5 is all about. Absolutely brilliant. This has been an amazing, amazing discussion. Thank you, each and every one of you that was here, everyone that contributed. It was incredibly, incredibly rich. And so I wish you all a very happy new year. Also, make sure that you check out the BG5 Business Institute and our programs and our courses. There are a lot of courses that are starting here in January. If you are inspired to start BG5, I am starting this next week. So the foundation course is starting next week. Boris is going to also be assisting me, so you can work with both of us. And we have a couple other brilliant assistants as well. So enjoy. invite you to join us in the BG5 Foundation course. I don't often teach the foundation courses, so it is a great opportunity to come on board. And again, we also have many other instructors teaching in different languages, which is what I love about BG5, starting their BG5 semester 1 as well. So if English is not your first language and you really want to dive in, you can take it in Italian or Japanese or Romanian or Chinese. Also, Michael Brown will be teaching in March, and Banu's going to be teaching in May as well. So again, invite you to join us for the foundation course. Also, we have the certification course coming up. It just started last week, but you can still join. So Tuck Self is teaching that. She's an amazing instructor. So invite you to join the semester 1 of BG5 certification. And if you've already done certification and you want to find out more about OC16, I will also be teaching OC16 this semester as well. All right. And again, you can have a strategy session with any of our instructors if you're just not sure how to get started and want to kind of jump in and get a little bit, not only your report, but also get some one-on-one time to find out if BG5 is really right for you. The best thing to do is sign up for a strategy session. We would love to connect with you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Next week, we will take a look at social needs that must be remembered. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at next week. What I would love is for everyone who is here live, if you feel comfortable, you don't have to if you don't want to, but those of you that are here live, if you would like to turn on your camera, we would love to see all of you as we sign off for today. It was an incredible discussion, and I hope each and every one of you got a lot out of what we talked about today. I wish you all a very, very happy new year, and wish you all the best and all the prosperity in the world in dreaming big and stepping into this new year as you, uniquely as yourself. So thank you. It has been our absolute pleasure. And if you would all like to unmute yourself and say goodbye, we will sign off for today, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Here.
Bye-bye.